What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another 12-inch mix included on the rare 12-inch mix compilation sent to me by a great friend of the channel, Joseph. Big shout out to you. And this time we listened to a 12-inch mix of Supernature by Erasure. I really enjoyed the original version of this tune, and when I did that reaction, I recall a number of folks, like Seb and Herbin, and I think one or two others, saying that Supernature was one of their favorite Erasure non-album tracks. I believe people said it was a B-side. I think I reacted to it as part of the deluxe version of Wild, so I imagine it is from that era. And it's the William Dabit mix that we're going to hear now. So the Supernature that I already listened to, it already had a bit of a 12-inch mix feel to it. Very dance floor, you know, the steady 4/4 beat, and sounded like something you would hear at a dance club or nightclub. So I wonder if this will be similar, just with slightly different ingredients, or if it is more notably distinct, sonically speaking. But yes, I was keen to follow the lyrics of the original, and I just think it has a very energetic and electronic sound, so we'll see how this differs. Joseph's note on this one is that this appeared on the Blue Savannah 12-inch. Okay, so the Blue Savannah single, this was a B-side. I wonder if it was on the same release as the Supernature that I already heard. You know, sometimes a single release will have multiple mixes of the same track, so yes, I do wonder if that's the case, or if this comes from a different 12-inch single. In any case, the point is, I really enjoyed the normal version of this tune, and I'm keen to hear what William Dabit, which I'm assuming that's the pronunciation, does with it, so let's give it a listen. This is Erasure, Supernature, and it's the William Dabit mix. Oof. Very electromechanical.
Till they couldn't eat no more. But the potions that we made touched the creatures down below, and they grew up in a way that we'd never seen before. Supernature, supernature. They were angry with the man revenge as they trample through the night for 100 miles or more. You could hear the people cry, but there's nothing you can do. Even God is on their side.
So many layers, changing parts, the implied motions or shapes of the different electronic layers. So yeah, it's sort of what I was thinking in advance, that it also has a very dance floor groove to it, but with different ingredients and a different overall atmosphere. Obviously, some of the elements really stand out, like that sort of intense electric computer language synth, which starts the track off and comes back, I don't know, halfway or so through. There's so many different electric elements from the very top of the track right on down to the bottom, and a lot of them come in, flourish and flare for a bit and then get pulled out and a different element comes in. But several of them were really striking. A lot of them have a very frenetic or fast-paced sound, and then there were some others that had a more like long stroke. There were some pad synths, some like deep and warm bass, like synth bass, that really stood out to me in the latter stages. But the tune hits differently. I will say, like, my first impression is that the original version or the normal version it's more Erasure-like, whereas this one feels like it really is like reworked and made a bit more like mechanically electronic, if that makes sense. It feels a little less Vince-like in the Sonics, is I guess what I'm saying. But I do very much find this one highly compelling, and each section I was just waiting to see what would happen next. There's some moments where the vocals got sort of turned around or like pulled into the background, so they sounded a bit more like closed off, and I kept waiting for them to swing back around to the front of the track, if you will. So yeah, a tune I was enjoying hearing it evolve and transition from one section to another, and lots of little percussive rhythms, some sounding almost like struck melodic, sort of like xylophone style, some just, like a metallic triangle and, strictly percussive. But yeah, a really dynamic tune that kept evolving, kept changing, and I was here for all of it. So yeah, shout out to William Dabit, shout out once again to Joseph. I will mention my plan was to do a 2-for-1. This session got a little interrupted, so I'm still going to try to do that, Joseph, but if I can't, I'll definitely do the next track in the CD playlist in my next batch of audio reactions, which should be tomorrow. So yeah, at the very most, you'll have to wait 24 hours, and when we do come back for that, whether it's in this batch or tomorrow's batch, it'll be a mix of Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, a tune I do know very well, and in that regard, I got this out because my expectation or my hope is that I can do it in this batch. But I wanted to give a shout out to Michaela, who sent me a Phil Collins hit CD, but for whatever reason my computer won't burn it properly. It when I go to rip it, it has weird static or scratchy sounds. So currently I can't go through this, but it does have the normal version of In the Air Tonight on here. So if I can get this to rip properly at some point, I'll be able to go through the normal version. But either way, we have the Ben Librand, I'm guessing Librand mix waiting. So, In the Air Tonight 88, it says Ben Librand mix. So, yeah, as I said, maybe that'll have to come tomorrow, but it will be in the next batch, even if it's not in this one. So, shout out to Joseph both for sharing this and a DVD he sent me, which is still waiting in the wings, as well as for the patience. Do let me know what you think of this mix of Supernature, and I will see you next time. Peace.